Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talking about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am...
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point, the premier channel, the premier talk show on Focus on Liberia. We are here to bring you events that cover the entire week. This is just...
We got background noise. Somebody please mute.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to bring you what is happening in Liberia from the top of our lungs. We have the best analysts, the experts, the professionals to dissect what is happening in the Republic of Liberia. Bring it to you as is, with no filter. We have in our group politicians, businessmen. We have talk-show and talk-show, that is people who are neutral. Then we have people that are representing the European Union, they are here. And we have the diehard Joseph Waga supporter who is here and having a tough time supporting and defending this government. It is raining in Liberia. We'll talk about it. From Houston, where we think we always have problems, we got Honorable Joseph Towell. He will be here to tell us what's happening in Houston. And then we go over to the state of 10,000 lakes. I don't know whether they are lakes or well, but we're discussing. I got Elvis Presley, Morris over here, you know, black man. I got you from Tennessee. It's all right, but when you're from Liberia, he's Elvis Morris. The young minds that will be able to dissect the issues, tell it as it is. And obviously, my co-host and technician over here, Mr. Michael Padmore. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you all doing? Let me start in the nation's capital with Honorable Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy Eastman, the nation's capital. How you doing there, sir?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gimman. It's a pleasure being here. I understand we have some very interesting topics to discuss. Our country is at peril, and if we're not the ones to be that cry in the wilderness, then we gotta only blame ourselves. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Dr. Booty, welcome. I know you're looking good there in Abuja, Nigeria. Tell us about what we are, and we want to give a week in review. As far as the week has been concerned, we are not lacking in topics. In fact, we have serious problem narrowing down to 3 or 4 topics. Dr. Booty, welcome.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. First of all, let me apologize for last week. I was traveling, so I couldn't be on the show, but I'm looking forward to a very productive show today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do us a favor, share the show in your network, call your friends, send in your comments. We have the line open this time. You can call in and express yourself. Don't hide behind the comments. Call in and tell us exactly how you feel. Mr. Alio Kamara, Maryland County, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, by the way, why you refer to Joseph Tao as an honorable? That's that's my main concern.
I'm not talking to
Who
Joseph
made
Tao.
him honorable?
I didn't call Joseph Tao. I said Alio Kamara. How you doing, Maryland,
Okay,
sir?
okay. Well, great to be here, representing all the Madengo people here. I'm buzzing it.
I don't know who made you the representative of my new people. You are as flawed as they can come. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis Morris from Minnesota. How you doing, Elvis?
I'm doing so well, Mr. Gayman. I'm feeling for the people in Liberia, but I'm glad when we have enough people on the show to discuss. So I'm excited tonight.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have the time today. Ladies and gentlemen, our panelists, please look around. I'm going to ask you at the end of the show your political play of the week, or political individual of the week, or the political drama of the week. So we got time to Mr. Tao out of Houston. How you doing there, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here and look forward to joining the discussion.
Great. Mr. Padmore.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's always great to share the Sunday with you guys. It's been a hectic week, but I knew I couldn't miss today. So I'm pulling it in, and we'll figure out the rest as we go along.
Great. Let's get started. Our time has been fast spent. Let's go from number 1. I know we had a problem narrowing down to these few topics, but let's get going. Let's start with the flooding in Monroe. After the rain, serious rain and flooding, and the flooding continues as we speak in Monrovia, right? And the entire environment, its environment, we talk about Monrovia, outside of Monrovia, the whole area there is flooding area. Can the government come to the rescue of the Liberian people? Have the Liberian people seen the government gave an alternative? Have the government given the people some direction, some hope as to the rescue plan? Mr. Elvin, let me go with Jimmy here. Let's start from the left corner here. Mr. Eastman, you are the diplomat here. Mm-hmm. We have a national state of emergency. The president absconded the country. He and everybody else, they're out of the country. The people are swimming. They are dead. They are destruction. Talk to me. What's happening in Monrovia now?
You know, it would be a mistake for us to wait until thousands and thousands of people die and lose their properties before we act. Liberia is increasingly having a drainage problem. The drainage have been blocked for various reasons, for lack of maintenance, people building at random, and this problem is getting more and more acute. Today, this week, we saw people devastated with their homes destroyed, flooded, several areas. The Omega Tower area, the Logantown area, all over we have this common problem. Now, I will give the government a pass if they tell me they don't have the money. But my thing, do you have a plan? Do you have a plan on how we alleviate this problem? Present it to the public, present it to your partners, and then we can say we're making progress. And that is the only thing I don't understand about this administration. I thought they would have come with a blueprint for many, many other things. And I don't see this blueprint. This issue is going to get worse and worse. What is the plan? I don't want to hear echo that the people building or what are we planning to do? What are the steps? I got Mr. Tahoe here. There are several steps that you have to engage first the professionals to outline the steps that must be taken. Where do we need the drainages? Some of this doesn't call for vaults and ducts and whatnot. You can just simply dig certain places and allow the water to flow out of the residential areas. But what are we doing? Have we had any engineer come and analyze and assess the situation? And that is the hurtful part. They have that boy there now to water and sewer.
Majabate.
No. Majabate is not water.
That's Mo Ali.
The for urban planning.
Yeah. Mo Ali has an understanding. Yeah, okay. Mo Ali has an understanding of water flow and stuff. What are we doing? And that is the worst part of all, when you do nothing. So it's not looking good.
Great. Dr. Booty, here we are. I live in the state of Florida. We know about swamp. We know about lowland. And what they usually do here is they build canals. They build trenches. They build drainages to drain the water to make sure that the place is livable. And they have a city code that you cannot build 2 feet. Every home has to be built elevated 2 feet below sea level. Dr. Booty, what is happening in Monrovia there? You guys are the educated folks that were coming in that have all the solutions. What's happening?
Well, I think I'll leave. Mr. Eastman, I would like to commend for the way he laid out the issue, some of the issues that we have, and I'll leave, I think, my fellow panelists to address kind of the structural issues around sanitation and moving waste water and drainage and stuff like that. I think with someone who has some background in public health, my concern is the aftermath, right? So you've got all of these places that are flooded. You've got makeshift toilets that are now, these water traveling and moving these things around. So issues with illnesses that will come afterwards. It's not just the fact that we can clear the drainages and move the water out and things like that and places get dry. But what about cholera? What about diseases that will impact on these poor people in Liberia? Is, picking on the point that Mr. Eastman was making about a plan, does the government have a plan, especially with Enfield not as equipped as it should be? And I know we will be talking about Enfield later on in the program as well. Are they thinking about the aftermath? Right? What's going to happen to the people who don't have access to medical treatment in Liberia, who are now standing and walking in these waters, whose homes have been infiltrated by, excuse my language, but doo-doo floating all around their place? What is going to be the aftermath? How is the government, through the Ministry of Health, through the Ministry of Public Works, and maybe the armed forces and other entities in government, how are they going to deal with this? Now, just lastly, I wouldn't want to be too unfair. I know Mr. Kamara is already getting ready to President Boakai, because this is not a President Boakai problem, right? Like Mr. Eastman laid out, I don't think our drainages have been cleaned, right? Refurbished, taken care of since the 70s or 60s, right? These things, successive governments have come in and neglected these systems that we had under Monrovia from the 50s and 60s, right? They've been clogged up. They've been backed up. So at the end of the day, it's not a Joseph Boakai problem. However, he has to deal with it now. We would like to see how he responds, not just to clearing the water, but like I said, to the aftermath, the sicknesses, the homes that have been destroyed. How do you get these people back on their feet? And the president has to come back to Liberia. If he hasn't gone to Liberia already, then Mr. Kamara needs to reach out to him and say, look, Mr. President, we need you back on the ground because you need to be leading the effort in helping your people.
Great. Mr. Kamara, I know this is very difficult for you because every time you come out here, you are on defense, and the pressure, I can see it on your face. You got lines in your face now that look like you might have gotten older 10 years since January. Mr. Kamara, what plans do you have? How do you alleviate the problem? The president have not declared a state of emergency. Nobody has spoken to the people. There is no.
I already got a question. Oh, my own question got to be extra, man. I already got a question a long time. Why you got to be my own question so long? Yeah. Listen, Mr. Gilman. When people say, oh, does the government have a plan? It just makes me laugh. The Liberian government have always had plans. We don't worry about the plan. The question is the government willing or ready to implement? from a nationalistic standpoint. This is what we must be forcing this government to do. From William Canada, Shadrach Tubman time, we have all of these rules on the book already. They only upgraded them. They did a little touching on these things. They're there and they're very fine. They're good. They're world class standards. They're there. They're on the paper. Just brush the dust from on them. But let me tell you one of the problems that have happened in recent time. Several years ago, especially when we were building my grandma's house in Gorbachev, the city of Pittsville opened a drainage over there from that place where they built that market, Omega. A big drainage. They didn't cast the drainage or anything, but it was a big, wide open drainage going as far as Dugo Road. All right. So what had happened was, again, Mr. Gilman and them, they gave a property to some Indian people over there, right around the Omega area, immediately in the middle of the drainage. They closed the drainage and they built a massive store there, blocking the drainage. And one thing about water, it will find a way. It will make a way. So that's what happened to the people, spread all over their place, coming as far as I don't know where. So the damage. Let's begin to force our people to at least pick up the papers that are already on file, dust it, and this job is actually public works. And if anybody depending on my brother Mike Jabate to sit down and actually, put a plan on book about urban development, that person got a problem. But let me just
a great job, man. A great job.
let me just say, my job spent 12 years learning political science degree, one bachelor degree, 12 years. But let me just tell you this. Look, Liberia, the way we are going now is the way. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had it very smooth. There were not a lot of people out here really voting, pushing, and kicking her. George William has slipped a few times, but Joseph Brocker got it tough. I mean, everybody that got cell phone has a program on Joseph Boakai. And I think going forward, this is very important. Let us make the government work. We know that this is an age-old problem, but if everybody kick the can down the road and say, oh yeah, well, I met it, and the other person passes to the other person, that means a guy like me will turn old and die, and I will not see any change. And this is my goal in life, that the generation after me should see something better than what I saw. Unfortunately for us, gentlemen, the best of Liberia was in the past. Isn't that a disgrace? When I was growing up, I never saw one day a teacher show his hand out or her hand out for a student to pay for a pamphlet or to give you $5 or $10. Not possible. If you ever scored 60, you earned that 60 and you could defend that 60. Today, anyway, let me just leave it so.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Please do us a favor, share this show, send in your comments. We are looking at your comment. Mr. Padmo, I just sent you 2 pictures. Hopefully you can have time to put it up in our chat room. It is what we call the drainage system, the drainage network. See how it looks like. Hopefully Mr. Mike Jabate is watching this. He can look at this and take it to the phone so they can look at it. Mr. Morris, there's a reason why they call Minnesota a state of 10,000 lakes. Those lakes were dug. Many were created by the state, and they are done for safety reasons. But the same thing we are talking about, it helps with rain, with water, the water flow, water retention, all of these things. This is part of city planning, urban planning. Mr. Morris, talk to me.
Who told you the lakes are dark? Who told you all that information?
They are all not man-made lakes, man. Come on, let's go. Talk about it. You want to let God give you all
I want to be spreading more information. But let me say this. When you have a problem like this, you have to analyze and see if you have the capacity to solve it. And I will follow the same thought of Mr. Kamara. I don't think we have the capacity currently, the expertise, people who have studied this, in that field and have the capacity to solve it. And that's why other countries like Dubai, people who have, gotten richer over a period of time, they bring in, expats to come and solve some of these problems. But for a country like Liberia, it might be too expensive to bring people who are experts in these fields to come and solve our problems, because they're going to charge us, an upcharge just to come and live in Liberia for 6 months or 8 months. And to Mr. Kamara's point, I think it reflects poorly on the president, a person who has a political science degree, who have never worked in urban planning, to make him deputy, minister, for that position.
Assistant minister.
Assistant minister. What capacity does he have to solve that problem or to work in that capacity? So the question here is, who in the diaspora, people who are Liberians, whether it's in the United States or in Europe or in Asia, who have the expertise, maybe they can reach out to the government and maybe formulate a plan and help the government to solve this issue. Another thing is, it's about regulation. People hate to hear regulation because they want free market, they want free, free this and free that. Nobody should interfere or regulate. But building codes are very important. We know this in this country. A lot of people, I'm sure Mr. Kamal, who built houses in Liberia, maybe Mr. Pamo, kudos to you guys, but I'm sure you didn't ask the people, what's a building code? Are we allowed to build here?
On the D, when you buy the D, everything that the alley, everything there.
Mr. Kamara, please.
Yeah, so people get a little piece of land and rush to build on it just to put down a structure. They don't think about the, the alleyways and if they're in path of a potential flood. But this is our problem. We don't think ahead of time. When we build, and our government just allow people to build anywhere, once you pay a little fee to start building, you build. So for me, I think this is over my head personally, and I think the government needs to put a team together to reassess and see how they can clean the drainage, because it's a complicated process. It's not something like this anybody can just go and do. It takes technology, it takes expertise. So you need people who are studying that field to come and help you do that work. It takes a lot of money also, and the machinery that's needed is not cheap. And we know we're already short on money with all the exorbitant salaries that our representatives and senators are getting paid. Where are we going to find the money from to clean up the drainage? That's the question. So again, I will give the president a slack on this, because this is not his problem. He inherited it from successors, from previous governments, and now it's on his lap. Maybe in the next year, if he's serious about it, he can formulate a plan and put some money aside to try to solve it, or at least to alleviate some of the choke areas in the city. Well, on my last point, I think we need to branch out a little bit. I know Marshall is kind of coming into play, but the government needs to have a concrete plan to set aside a plot of land for a new living quarters, a new community where people can kind of branch out of the city and go out maybe into places like Magibi. There's a lot of land, arable land that people can start planning new communities. And the government need to have a hand in it. It can't just be private citizens. You need to have a hand and make a concerted effort to get new community planted outside of Monrovia. And maybe that will alleviate the population congestion in the city. I'll leave it there for now.
Great. Mr. Padmo, could you put up one or two of those pictures, please? You are muted. You are muted, Mr. Padmore.
Let Mr. Tower go, and I'll try and do that for you.
Okay, Mr. Tower, we are talking about city planning. The Joseph Walker group said the group that were there, they were boys, they were children doing men's work, and they wanted to bring men and women, educated, highly experienced, to do this work. And here we are. The city is drowning. The people are dying. We saw people, fanatics, I call them, religious fanatics in the churches, lying in the water praying. Mr. Tower, talk to us here. Your own experience. You in the Houston area.
So look at what happened here.
Because you guys have a experience.
The question so long, and then we'll start talking.
The city of Galveston was overwhelmed with something like that, and they were able to solve it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have quite a bit of experience in this area. What happened here is that I lived in New Orleans. New Orleans is about maybe 20 feet or more below sea level. The Pontchartrain, which is part of the Chafalaya Basin, which is pretty much an ocean, is the largest single lake in the U.S.
Excuse me, Kamara, man, come on, what are you doing? Go ahead, man. This man want to distract people. Go ahead.
Yeah, that place is below sea level, and when it rains, that place have a better drainage system than I think almost all of the major cities in the U.S. Houston have one of the worst drainage system. Houston don't have drainage system. The moment it rains for like 2 hours, you could be riding straight into the Gulf of Mexico if you're not careful. When I first moved here, it happened to me. So, but like, not to digress, You see, the problem that we have is not that we need some expert to come from somewhere or that we need to bring somebody from the diaspora. I don't even think that is what our problem is. Why those things can serve a purpose? Because most of the people that are in this government, where they come from the diaspora, right? Our problem is already on paper, which it was touched on in some form or another in physics or engineering. When you're talking about fluid mechanics, hydrodynamics, water is going to move towards the path of least resistance. So we have a land authority. I went to Liberia. I went to public works. There is somebody now that was appointed a deputy in that area. They were in charge of zoning. I went and I met with her, and we talked, and I met with a lot of other people. I went to LLA, Land Authority. I spoke to a lot of people there. And what I found out is, gentlemen, a lot of the people are from the U.S. They have no desire, because when we keep saying people from the diaspora, when you go into an environment, your output will depend on the demand, the requirement, what they require of you. A whole bunch of the people are just there, they're not working. They're not working, they have no interest. So I want for us to kill this whole myth about coming from the diaspora, some kind of expert supposed to change something so quick. They go into a system where they're not held responsible, they're not monitored, they're not supervised. They all just sit around, eat donut, and go run to beer parlors, and they come back and they go home. Okay, so land authority is there. The question I asked our public works in our land authority is because I'm buying some land and I was trying to lay the place out. Why are all the land being sold? All the yellow machines here in public works yard. Why? Because I live in Ivory Coast. Why aren't the alleys? Because we're going to already do survey. Why aren't the fees put into this survey price so that then you open the alleys? Because one of the problems we're having for we people are stuck behind other people is because the alleys are left up to the individuals that are buying the land to open those things. Public Works, Ministry of Planning, they're supposed to be into this stuff to open these alleys. NHS are already there. People build. Doesn't matter what kind of expert you bring. The rules are donation stuff up before even any land is sold in the area. Guess what? It will solve a lot of these problems. Go anywhere that you're buying land, any of you, a road is already there. There is no road problem to say, oh, you're blocking me on the alley. All that problem is solved. So this is the problem we're having. It's simple. Like Alio just said here, there was a Lebanese Indian man that built big house on the drainage that were open. What are they doing about it? Nothing. Nobody worked in Liberia. I went from ministry to ministry, from agency to agency, because most of the guys that are there in top position, they're here from the US. I know a lot of them. You talk to them, nobody have any idea. They have no interest, even no matter what kind of degree they have. So this is the Liberia that we have. And for something else, it is not this government's problem. It is not Bwaka's problem. Yes, they say he got to work now. But if he needs to start working right now, you know what they're going to do? They're going to bring down a bunch of houses that are in places that it shouldn't be. All the wetland are occupied. I don't know if any of you here familiar with GSA Road. When I was little, we used to come through that area. It's a river. It was a river connected some river that used to flow behind where we stayed in Arabia down into the ocean. People built all in that place. When it rained, everybody moved. The water is at the roof level. When dry season comes, everybody come back. That's the kind of stuff we have all over the place.
Thank you.
So our problem is some hard decisions need to be made from land authority. They need to put money. They need to start laying out the alleys and laying out drainage and laying out everything. Let them put it in there for when people registering their land, paying their taxes to get their flat receipt to be able to do those. And once those demarcations are clear, it will solve a lot of the problems. Then we can go from there. But for now, no matter who you bring in, it's not going to do anything. And for something else, Mr. Kamara said, just last point, that it's sad that our good days, it's sad that our good days are behind us. Yeah, it's like that in a lot of things, though. In thermodynamics, when you come to interpret, as things as time go on, things deteriorate. So you see with even society everywhere, we don't say it should be that bad, but it get worse.
Thank you. Mr. Padmore, were you lucky to get those pictures?
I was. Let me try something here.
At least
Let
one.
me clarify. Let me clarify something. What Pambo on that? Yeah. So.
Hold on 1 second, Ali.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do us a favor, share this show, send your comments. We are reading the comments. People from Monrovia, our friends, our regular folks, we're getting ready for our anniversary in September. That will tell you that we are the longest serving show on this particular, continuously on here, and we are going to celebrate in style. No UPN allowed here. Kamara will not be here.
Let me clarify this thing, my man. I wanted to clarify something very important.
You're not clarifying anything.
No, Mr. Murray was concerned about something. I want to clarify to him.
Go ahead.
The thing is not, again, the thing is not the policy or whether the people know what to do or not. The thing is, our people refuse this thing, like holistic thing. All also, there's people, the government, everybody, we our own problem. When you buy a land, when they survey that land on your land deed, you will see everything that was just talked about. You will see the alley, you will see the car road, you will see how many feet you're supposed to build from the car road, all on your deed. Yet the people can build in the alley. In my community, when I was building the Ralphie Highway, somebody was building their own house. They went in the alley instead of going to bad day. They went in the alley and dug a massive hole in the alley to fill their foundation. So anybody else who are building behind that can pass. You got to make your own road to pass behind it. So and the government doesn't have the means to reach to all of these places.
Mr. Kamara, thank you. American, we want to show you something. Can you show the second picture, please? There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are looking at is a typical canal that was dug in Florida to use as a drainage. Not only as a drainage, but during emergency. They can use boat, the military can use the boat, they can use other vehicle to get through from the land to the ocean. Everything here drained into the ocean or the nearest lake. I'm putting this up here to say that all the experts that come to the Liberia, we come from these United States, we see how it works. Some of these people work in these departments, they don't know what to do, and they go home with these big titles and degrees and have no clue. Let me show the other picture, the previous one. Let's see the previous one. Great. This is not a major one. This is just regular neighborhood water facilitation here. They're using this to clean. You don't need you don't need 285 yellow machines to do this, Mr. Kamara. We don't have to wait for.
You wasting our time, Mr. Gilman.
No, I'm telling you because you got 285 machines that we can't see, but you say it's coming every day. Machine coming. These are some of the machines that were. Mr. Padmore, talk to us about the importance of city planning. You don't have to plan it from zero. These are things that can be done even as we speak. Go ahead, Mr. Padmore.
All right. So the first thing I want to refute is I keep hearing people saying this is not Joseph Boyka's problem. This is Joseph Boyka's problem.
Thank you.
This is Joseph Boyka's problem. Joseph Boyka inherited our problem. Okay? He was not sitting there in rehab and we went there and begged him to come carry our load. He the one got up from there, came and begged us. And said, please, I got 47 years of experience. You put your load on my back. I will carry you. This is the load. Okay? So it is indeed Joseph Boyka's problem. Here's the thing. Okay? One, Monrovia, for the most part, is built on a hill. When it rains, the water will flow down. So when you build places that do community, and you build in a mangrove swamp that goes basically from Jamaica Road all the way to TB Annex. For those of you who all went Montreal before the war, you all know what I'm talking about. That's all mangrove swamp. That's why places never flooded before. That's where the water went. Now people are building there. What do? If you put the right minds together, in one weekend, they can come up with solutions. But nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to play politics. Whether it was United Party before with the 12 years, whether it was CDC for the 6th year, whether United Party that come back, everybody just want to play politics. If I want to purchase land today in Liberia, the only people I have to deal with is the person I'm buying the land from and the court to probate the deed. That's it. Nobody else. I don't deal with LRA. Whether there are back taxes on the land, nobody cares. Why am I allowed to sell land if I owe taxes to the government? And then I sell it and I put the money in my pocket. That won't leave where you're now. No. Before you sell any land, you should have clearance, tax clearance. To be able to sell your land, you should be up on your taxes to be able to sell your land. Before you sell land, you should have clearance from EPA to say, yes, this land is appropriate to be sold. You should have clearance to say, yes, you are the rightful owner of this land. You have done everything that needs to be done. It is a simple system. Just put a system in place so that when you do those things, nobody will buy land in a wet area. Nobody will buy land in an alley because LRA will not give you tax clearance for land you do not own in the alley. Land commissioner will not give you tax clearance for land that you sell, alley land that you're selling. Those things are simple things. If you don't have your clearance, you can't sell the land. Simple as that.
Real quick, Mr. Padmore. Now that we have the plan, we know what the issues are. People are in the drainage way. I mean, they're on drainages. They are in the alleyway.
I want to clarify something.
Excuse me. Does this government have the wherewithal to actually break down homes and structure in alleyway, whether they are Unity Partisan or CDC Partisan? Does this government have the will to do this?
They would never do it. They would never do it. They would never do it because the politicians will tell the president, you break that place down, Unity Party will lose the next election. Senators and representatives will say, you're not coming into my community to break homes down. Because if you do it, I will lose the next election. So because of that, representatives will step in and block the government. Politicians, political advisors will step in and tell Mr. President, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's better you keep the people down in poverty. Let's find smaller money to get it in. So every year, when their homes flood, we're getting late. And then they will sing your name. Hey, Joseph Boga came to our rescue. Joseph Boga came to our rescue. Get a few beg arrests and stuff like that. And so therefore, we'll vote for him again. They will not truly rescue you. They won't transfer your deed and say, okay, you know what? You are the rightful owner of this land and whatever. We are going to identify another land and we will provide certain funds for you to rebuild. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because it's not politically expedient. So they don't have the will to do it. So we are going to be into this for a while. Look at Marshall today. 10 years ago, Marshall was a sprawling, organized city growing. Today, no, all the alleys are being sold. The government is sitting, so apparently 2-3 years from now, things will happen in Marshall. Marshall too will start flooding. The water has to go somewhere. And this is what's going to happen.
Great.
We're just talking about
Mr. Palmer.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, share this show.
Mr. Gilman, 1 minute. Mr. Gilman, 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are watching your comment. We are listening to you. You can call in. The telephone number is available. We have wasted a lot of time. Not wasted a lot of time. We have talked about it. Let's go to number 2 here, Mr. Eastman.
Mr. Gilman, before you go, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Mr. Palmer, throw 2 minutes out there. Let me just clarify something for the audience. All right? Yes. The government has made it clear on paper, on everything. Before you buy a land, you must get a registered surveyor from the Ministry of Lands and Mines. The Ministry of Lands and Mines is clothed with the knowledge to tell you this is an alley, this is a swamp, you cannot build here. If you don't follow that, they also told you before you build a house in certain location, you must consult the Ministry of Public Works before you do that. The government does not have the reach to go to every community all the way in Bogonjile if you're buying a land there. They tell you to not do that. Just be aware. You can break the rules. You can go anywhere you want to go. But when serious development comes and when real government comes to play, forget it. They'll bust your play.
Thank you very much.
No.
We're not a real government. I agree with you. Go ahead.
The Memphis saying that real government can.
I would not let this happen, Mr. Kamara. You don't when you are a real government, you don't advise people, and then you see them doing wrong, and you sit down silently and fold your hands. What did I say? I said put together a system. Basically,
the system already there.
Let me explain to you. Public work can give me surveyor. Public work cannot stop me from purchasing a land and probating that deed. Even if it is in the alley, even if it's in the wetland, they cannot do it. What I'm telling you today is that before you can purchase land, legally purchase land and transfer property from one person to another, there has to be a series of clearances. LRA needs to have it. It needs to be cleared by LRA. It needs to be cleared by Land Commission. It needs to be cleared by EPA. It needs to be cleared by Public Works. That's how you do those things.
That's not bureaucracy.
Mr. Padma, the question real quick. Mr. Padma, answer the real quick. 30 seconds. What happens if I get already cleared and still go build in the wrong? What happens?
The people are supposed to come and do inspection while the building is going on to make sure you're on code.
The government need you have violated the code. The government need to come and break it down.
Yeah, then they halt the building process. It happens in this country a lot. They need to have people going there and looking at a house that's under construction and making sure it's in the code.
Everything I want compared to America. Capacity.
Don't go there, but comparing to America because you're getting America's salary. Mr. Eastman. Let's go to number 2 here. The former ruling party, CDC, accuses LBS, I think Director General Eugene Fagum, of denying them access to a political event, their jingle. He said the jingle has the word militant in it. And if you use the word militant, it is not supposed to be allowed to be played in the public space. Mr. Eastman, this was a clear violation. I don't know how to even call this for the man who was the leader of the CDC militant brigade. Go ahead, Mr. Eastman.
Yes, there's a lot of irony in that. We have seen Mr. Fangon with this full military regalia and appearing, even down to the beret, appearing as if in a war stance, ready to go to war. And now when the coin is flipped, when he is no longer part of the CDC regime, he is denying them getting on the. I believe that if the CDC should have someone legal look into it, and if they find that this man violated their rights and the rules that govern publication and voice announcements on the radio, they need to sue the government, because we cannot have somebody arbitrarily, denying us the ability to broadcast or advertise. I think this whole thing shows something very strange, that all of a sudden now CDC is this militant group, but when he was there, it wasn't a militant group. There he is there. So that's a lot of hypocrisy. Yeah, some people argue that if it was encouraging militancy, then he was in his right to do so. But I'm not sure. I just think he tried to, put a thumb in their faces and give the CDC hell. But I think if CDC is going to come back at him for doing something like that. I think he would pay the price.
Great. Mr. Tao, here we
Yes,
are. Mr. Fagon is saying he has the exclusive and the authority to tell people what needs to be played because it is his right and it is in his job description to sanitize what is in the public space. Mr. Tao.
Yeah, Mr. Eastman touched on some of it, but look, when it comes to Fagon and all of these things, I consider John Palm or Winston John Rice. These are the same guys that CDC was parading around. I remember the same Fagon for CDC was threatening to beat up journalists. He was very aggressive, very combative, and very rude. And this guy was seen as a hero until there was a fallout. So where does Eugene Falcon come from? From the US here. So this should kill the myth. I want to talk to the Liberian people. Please do not listen to these guys, all of us sitting here in the US, claim that we are so smart, we are so qualified that the problem that Liberia have can be solved from here. Because the group coming from here, a lot of them carry on gangsterism, they break laws, they have no sense of direction. All they want to do is to come over them corrupt. I have been in Liberia, and I've met many of them. When they come over there, they act like they're better. They are so superior to the people. And this is what we are seeing. So let this myth about diasporan, when they bring expert, let it die, let it go away. Let us only say bring people that are willing, who are capable, and who are able to lend something to the country. But Fagon is only paying debt, as we say in Liberia, because of the vindictiveness that he had, that they fell out, and then he was kicked out of this stuff. Whatever the case is, whether he has the right to do that, that's one thing. But from what I'm seeing is that when they let him go, he was really bitter because I saw some of his story. He was on spoon every day. Out of a sudden, he was somebody with common sense that he could see everything. So he came back and he's looking for all kinds of dumb ways to revenge. But these guys are thugs. I saw that Fagon on our CDC. He was thug. Then Jefferson coach, acting like playboys running all over the place, and that is why he's practicing. And if Boyka government understand this and they don't want to be associated with that, they need to either stop him now, or maybe they advise him, or they get rid of him.
Thank you. Dr. Booty, here we have a man who is now serving as the filter, the gatekeeper. He said nobody is going to attack this administration, so you have to watch your words. If you say things that are contrary to that, this is what he's going to say. And as usual, Joseph Boyka, the administration, nobody in the government saying, no, we can say this. We understood during the George Weah time, it was Darius Dillon that was going everywhere telling the people, if the president mess with others, he shoot. He won't know where gunshot come from. We will shoot at the president. We'll go to his house and shoot. All of these things are not militant as far as he is concerned. Talk to me.
Well, I find myself agreeing with Mr. Eastman on some points again. I think when he mentioned the fact that we need, and I say we need, he didn't say we need, but we need the CDC to consult some legal minds. Because just looking at the situation, right? I remember when President Weah was president of Liberia, Manny Packard Dumi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, had said Dimoy, right? He had said something that referenced AK-47 or something like that. He was called in to answer questions, and many of us were, Liberians were like, oh, the major called AK-47 need this, that, all kind of thing. And the president intervened, or whomever intervened, and he was let go because he said it was freedom of speech, right? Now, the word militant in and of itself doesn't threaten anyone, right? Now, I stand to be corrected. Some people might feel threatened by it, but like Mr. Eastman was suggesting, it should be the Ministry of Justice that should take issues with the CDC once the information is put out in the public domain. Mr. Vagon and the LBS are not the law enforcement or law interpreting arms of the Liberian government. And what he is doing is not within his remit as Director General. He is supposed to make sure that the station runs. He is supposed to make sure that everybody gets equal access to the station. Aha, thank you, Mr. Fatmo. He is to make sure that Liberians, all of us, irrespective of whether we agree with the Unity Party government, Mr. Kamara and them, or not, we should be allowed to access. It's a publicly funded institution. We have access to it. Let them go and talk their militant thing. Let the police. I remember Chief Allen said something during President Sir Leave time. They call him and said, "Man, you can't." They think he said, "We understand." Come to the police station and can't explain yourself. That we have arms of the government that are responsible for checking that things that people are saying are not threatening the peace of the country. And if they need to be prosecuted, like Mr. Eastman rightly pointed, there are legal mediums through which that should happen. So I think the CDC should challenge this legally. And it will be good for our democracy that they challenge it, and let's see what the court says about it. But I think Mr. Fagon's out of order. That's just my opinion.
Great. Mr. Morris.
I agree with Fagon, and I disagree with him. And what I disagree with is that LBA should not even be a political. It shouldn't allow any political spin to it. We have public broadcasting stations in this country, especially the ones that are funded by the government. Not allowed to go there and make political statements on it. You go on PBS, you won't see anything but the Democratic Party running campaign ads, or the Democratic Party doing jingles, or the Republican Party doing jingles. It should be neutral. But the problem is when you put a political actor in that position as Director General, definitely it's going to be politicized. So somebody like Fagon was one of the very few people that President George Weah actually fired from his government. That's because he was so divisive, and he was so vindictive, and spilled a lot of vitriol. So he had to be fired. And rightly so, like Dr. Booty said, and I think Mr. Padmore and other people said, the guy is on he's going out for vengeance. He wants a revenge against the CDC, and he wants to do everything to put at the CDC. But the reality is, elections have consequences. Win or lose, you have to deal with some of the consequences of it, and this is just one of them. And I think the fact that CDC was stupid enough to put militant in the jingle, it says a lot about them. You have to be crafty enough to say something. I hate to use the word, but you have to be able to dog whistle without, overtly saying what you mean. So if you're not smart enough to put that message across without putting the word so blatantly in it, then maybe you shouldn't be allowed to say it. You have to have people who are crafty enough to come up with jingles and put it in a way that the people will get the message and get the essence of it without using blatant language. So Fagon is just trying to get back at CDC. And he did a lot of work in helping bring Joseph Boakai to power. And this tells me a lot about President Boakai again. In the same vein that he put Mike Jabate in a place that he's not qualified to be, he put Yuji Fagon, of all people who many people criticize, simply because Stanton Wilson have been feeding him, sending him $3,000 a month. So Stanton had his thumb on that appointment with the CFI with. And the president put Fagon in that position that is so sensitive and knew that he would do the most damage to the opposition, so he chose to put him there. This president judgment when it comes to appointments has been lackluster, and we have to point it out because the reality is he's putting people in position that are on a vengeance and have a vendetta against the CDC, and that may not come well, especially in a couple of years' time when everything comes to a head. So that's my take on it. I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, before I go to the next, let's be fair enough. Let's play the jingle so people can hear. Let's listen to this. Hold on. No. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming to today's jingle.
Mr.
Padmore, 1 minute.
Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. Barack Obama said, change. Yes, we can. And George Weah said, power to the people. Yes, we must. Citizens, Congress for Democratic Change (CDC) commemorates Militant Month under the theme "Transforming Setbacks into Great Comeback." A month set aside to celebrate the remarkable commitment and heroism of partisans who continue to intellectually defend the CDC and its image. Those who continue to propagate the ideas and philosophy of the CDC at various fora, towns, villages, and every facet of our society. This month recognizes and appreciates those fire-burned soldiers who continue to selflessly dedicate their all to the growth and development of the party. I, Jefferson Kamakuchi, your humble servant, a cadre and militant, and calling each fire-burning for soldier, militant of our party, to converge on the historical commemoration of our militant day celebration. Join us from June 28th to the 30th at the national headquarters of the United Congress for Democratic Change in Congo Town, when District 9 locks horns with District 6 in the opening fixture of the kickball match, while District 10 takes on District 4 in football. Official kickoff will be taken by House Speaker Fonati Kofa. The finals will be held on Sunday, June 30. Trophies and medals will be presented by Senator Sir Halil Joseph of Monserrate County. Other sporting activities include...
Are you serious? Are you kidding me? CDC never feed them. The Ashford got it talking there. Ashford got it who against the whole election that he didn't want doing the talking.
Headed by Caucus Chair Senator Nathaniel F. McGill, House Speaker J. Fonati Kofa, and Deputy Speaker Thomas P. Fala will lead an array of lawmakers, while Chairman Changa Augustus Cole.
Really? Is this what you're taking all the time for?
Will lead scores of party leaders to celebrate with you on this unique occasion in the history of the CDC. Citizens, wherever you are, come out in your numbers, in your colors, in your berets. From June 28th to the 30th at the national headquarters of the CDC in Congo Town. So come out, citizens. It's time to celebrate while you reconsolidate. See you in Congo Town.
Let me get 10 seconds. I apologize for interrupting, but can you give me 10 seconds, please? I beg. I think we, as a country, we need to apply common sense sometimes, right? Because if you listen to the jingle, once the word militant was mentioned, they talk about intellectually combating, right? So they're not talking about physical, whatever. There's no mention of any violence. They're talking about you can be a. So basically, what would we say about the Salvation Army now? So Salvation Army, when I put nothing on the radio, to gotta get Armenian. What kind of thing? Like seriously, man, let's apply some common sense.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. You were in flight.
Yeah, like I'm saying. 1 second, Mr. Kamara. You know, I have a 2-30 second. I have nothing. Let me just say this. Ashford Ghali, he's my big brother. I've been on his platform many times. He was vehemently against the CDC. He campaigned with the likes of Datus Ade and other people on his platform for Joseph Boyka. And his show was pretty much a propaganda for Joseph Boyka. So the fact that it would give this, contract, a little thing to Ashford Ghali is perplexing to me. So CDC, I think, is in disarray right now. They really need to go back and recalibrate and come up with a more ingenious strategy in how to attack this government. Not to be doing these things with people who are outside and supporting their opponent and bringing them back into the fold.
Mr. Morris, I think you're missing the whole point. Mr. Kamara, here we are. They are celebrating the month. Militancy in the form of intellectual, bringing people together, celebrating, recalibrating, using what they have done wrong to set the path for the future. And you say?
We need to get a neutral host on this show. But anyways,
speak to, I just played because most people they didn't know what we're talking about.
You played out the promote CDZ, like you play the whole thing to promote CDZ.
I played the whole thing so you can at least listen to it, so you don't say they say. You listen to it.
The thing on social media is they can say this. Yeah, what's our time? By the way, I just got a text message that Dr. Buri got a girlfriend on Facebook. That a girl he wanted to see in Abuja. Yeah. So anyway,
don't be doing that, Mr. Kamara. Don't be doing that on the set.
But man, that's my boy. Right there.
I mean,
why you just putting the balls out of that for?
That's not a point. That's a distraction here. Go ahead, talk to us, but you got 30 seconds.
No, but I'm but anyway, I'll tell you.
You're getting better, Mr. Gimme, getting 10 seconds, big 10 seconds, you're talking too much.
Hey, Mr. Gilman, that whole thing you just played there, fiasco. Let me just say it.
Tell me
Look,
what's in that warrant him being denied to play that.
well,
All the other stations are playing it.
well, first of all, you have to understand, Fagon made a commitment, and I heard him clearly. Fagon said no political party, none whatsoever, will use ELBC as a place to run campaign under his administration. That's one of the things he said. Did you know that Fagon denied the United Party youth win when they had a little saga at the party headquarters?
Sir, we are
So
not
what I'm
here to
talking,
discuss.
but listen now.
You have the do you have the evidence? Do you have the evidence so that someone can play it?
You're not letting me.
You're not being neutral. Let me make a point. It's not
Do
that
you have the evidence? No, you don't just make claims. Do you have the? I just
But let me talk, Mr. CDC. Let me talk, okay?
Yes, Mr. Unity Party, go ahead, talk.
If I got a long jiggle here, I just wasted our time. You want to. Let me tell you, that's his policy he took over there. Every leader has a different style. Fagon vowed that the FBS should not be used by the Unity Party nor any other political party. And so far he has stood his ground. The problem is optics. People know him to be some kind of stalwart. Some people know him to be pundit of the Unity Party in the last election. And therefore it is easy, and I understand, it is easy for them to surmise or to just come to some kind of history conclusion. So it's understandable. But I would, on his behalf, and I'm not a fan, on his behalf, I would say he didn't do it because he hates CDC and because revenge. And besides, on that video, we're not Ashford Gali on that video, by the way. He didn't do it because he hates people and this and that and the other. He's been standing his ground since. If you see, the United Party people use spoon. They don't use LBC.
Mr. Kamara.
When you see any of the United
a point
yeah,
here.
go ahead.
Your policy cannot go contrary to the Constitution.
Okay, what's the law? What's the rule that he broke that you know?
Mr. Padmore, before I go to Mr. Tawo, talk to us about the Constitution, free speech, the free expression, as long as it does not threaten. The state talk to me about this jingle that you just played. What in it that made Mr. Fagon, according to Kamara, stood his ground?
So here's a couple of things here. The first thing is Eugene Fagon cannot say that LBS will not be used to run campaign. It's supposed to be used to run campaign. It's just supposed to be used equally. That's all. It is the we pay for LBS to reach every part of Liberia. It's supposed to be run like that. Everybody's supposed to have equal access to it. Eugene Fagon is a political appointee. Okay? LBS has a board. The board needs to step in and rein in that Director General Fagon a little bit. Establish a committee. Look, there are certain things that cannot go on the airways. Swear words. There's just certain things you can't put on the airway. It's not decent, right? But Mr. Fagon should not be the judge, jury, and executioner of that. There needs to be some sort of board committee that is put together that will evaluate commercials, all of these programs that are supposed to come onto the air. And then okay those things. Not Mr. Fagon. That is my point there. So now, let's say, for example, this board had come up and say, you know what, we listen to this, and for A, B, and C reason, we don't think this is appropriate. Okay. Now we'll be watching them to see if that happens with everybody else. But for Mr. Fagon to come on and be the one, I just put a picture. Mr. Milton, he said, he the one now to come on and say Milton is back today. Look, there's certain things that the president job already had. You're dealing with flooding, you're dealing with unemployment, you're dealing with fire, you're dealing with roads, you're dealing with agriculture. Fagon doesn't need to add headache to President Boyka, already increased headache. Okay? This right now is just headache. And I will agree with all those who said that, look, the LBS needs to be taken to court. And it should just be CDC. I think every well-meaning Liberian should support this. Political opposition parties should support this. Because, you see, if you don't do it now, you wait until 2029 in the heat of elections. Now you got problem. Now is the time to do this. They should take them to court. There should be an established thing that you don't do this. You cannot do this. And it needs to be established and move forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. Len.
No, I'm just saying, look, there are some things in Liberia that will be very difficult to fix. There are some things that are very easy to fix. These are one of those things right now. Fix this, President Boyka. Fix this. Just call the gentleman and say, you can't do this. Okay? You establish the committee that will handle this. You do your job. Let the committee do their job. And do not interfere with them. Whatever they say, you tell them that the committee, you go to the committee. They don't want to say it. That I mean. That's all. Don't embarrass the president. These are just some of the things that are easy to fix. We shouldn't be discussing this. Thank you so much.
Mr. Tower, please use 1 minute so we can go to the next one because we are behind time. Your take on this?
Yeah. So just like I said earlier, Fagon is very childish. He's a thug because I saw him and his actions and stuff during the CDC time, and apparently maybe his thuggishness was too much. That's why the CDC even got rid of him. But for Mr. Kamara to be here, that the guy who the CDC, I mean the LBS or ELBC, however we call it, or ELBC, however you call it, they have all of the scope on how they operate. Like Mr. Padmo just said, the committee to be able to look at commercials and other stuff and what going on is already built into the status of the LBS and it's already there. So unless Fagon is projecting himself into that area to be heard louder, he's trying to make himself to be more important than he is within the LBS system. So I think he should be either removed if he can't stop, because this kind of stuff is going to create confusion. It's going to, just like you said, the president don't need this kind of stuff. These are guys that were hired. They need to be able to work. They need to be able to allow the areas to work so that they make the president life much easier so he can focus on more important things.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me the permission to go to number 4 because number 3
Can I clarify something?
Excuse me. Number 4 is number 3 is very important, so we want to save that our best for last. Let's do real quick. Let's send only 2 minutes on this. Liberia leading scientist Chris Young expresses concern about his life since there was a rumor that Joseph Boyka was about to appoint him. People have begun to shoot at him. In fact, one so closely that he was able to present the bullet. The United Party thing, I say the man was not a member of the CD. He was not a member of the United Party. Brian would kill him. Go ahead, Mr. Taiwo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know much about that. I know I read it and I saw some little posts and stuff. But if that is the case, just like any other Liberian citizen, I think they should be looked into. Because from what I read and from what I kind of the clips that I saw, that he called the police up to the time that maybe a day or so ago, nobody showed up to take in a statement to look at any of the evidence, and they just left it alone. But well, again, that's how Liberia is operating. It seemed like once there was no money to be made in it directly, nobody really cared. If to say right now, hey, look, there is a budget set to go ahead and investigate, the Coma will be there right now, and everybody, they'll be fighting each other to see who's going to lead that investigation. So, I mean, but it shouldn't just because of him. I think because of anybody, Liberian citizen that it happened to, I think we should give it equal importance. And so if this happened, the police should look at it to see whether it is true, whether there is something that is actually there, because also people make claims. I don't know the doctor, so I'm not saying he's making claims, but that is why investigations are good and for them to be brought to an actual conclusion to where the outcome is published.
Great, thank you. Dr. Booty, the doctor got the bullet. He has everything. He called the police. After a while, the police told him he should go to the police station so they can question him. This is unbelievable, Dr. Booty.
Well, I think I need to make two quick clarifications before I move on, and I wouldn't be long. I think first of all, Mr. Padmore already touched on it, but in the UK, for example, the BBC is state funded, and political parties are allowed equal time to express. Right now, we're in the middle of a campaign, and every party is allowed to have equal time on there. So what Mr. Falcon is doing, and Mr. Kamara, the person that tells you I get doing a player, the person lied to you. You know, I hear do my little hustle. I beg you, don't spoil my name.
It's a beauty,
if that's something you want to say, my way, send it.
Don't fall for the bait. It's a distraction.
No, I just wanted to address it because some people might be out there thinking about me then and they want to spoil my operation. But anyway, don't laugh as a platform. Look, I think this is a serious issue. And like Mr. Tao touched on, the government of Liberia needs to take it seriously. There has to be an investigation. The outcome needs to be public. They need to let us know whether the doctor lying, because if he's lying, then he should be prosecuted for making up these false claims. All right. If he's not, oh yes, my brother, you can't go start lying on your friend and say, oh, they're shooting you, and you can cause panic. Because some people will start going to work now, they be talking for no reason because they scared somebody will shoot at them. So you can't just go around be putting things out that are not truthful. But if it is true that someone shot at him, then the government needs to make sure that these people are caught. Like Mr. Tawo said, because we need Liberians to be able to walk around their country safely. They need to know that the police is taking care of the matter. So to the police, if it is true that the police say him hold the case complete, then that is unacceptable. Because they're supposed to be investigating the crime scene, they're supposed to be collecting evidence, they're supposed to be sending it over to the prosecutor so that they can then see whether there is a case, whether they can get suspects and take it from there. But it is a worrying situation that someone will be shot at in Liberia. That's unacceptable.
Thank you. Mr. Morris, here we are. Some of us know who are doing it. It has to be the Unity Partisan because they have the record for doing so. They have gone into offices. They have physically pulled people out of offices. They have gone to call themselves permanent people in the society and they came to take over. They have done these things. This man is not a partisan. He is a professional man, and it was just a rumor that President Boyka was about to appoint him. And we started hearing threat. Now the threat has been elevated to actually shooting at the man.
Look, Mr. Gamer, let me say this. I blame Dr. Chris Dubé for this whole thing. I think a person of his status and caliber transcends politics. A person who is an epidemiologist or somebody who is an expert on infectious disease is almost one of a kind in Liberia. So for himself to get involved in politics, knowing that he could serve in successive government and help to build up our healthcare system, especially when it comes to infectious diseases, it was a poor decision on his part because he should understand Liberia. Men of his intellect should understand how Liberian people think. No matter how valuable you are, no matter how specific a skill you have, once you get involved in politics, it becomes you versus them. And he did that during the George Weah election. 2017, he did that during these past elections, and I think it's wrong. You would say, "Oh, that the man constitutional right," but when you understand the magnitude of your gift and the skills that you have, you need to hold your voting preference close to your heart. When it's time to vote, you go in that booth, you mark, you put it inside, you walk away. You know who you voted for. Well, he's so important, and I think the fact that Joseph Boyka didn't appoint him in the first place was a missed opportunity. He is somebody that is very much needed in our country. The skill set that he brings into that country is very, 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 very much needed. Well, on the flip side, the woman who has resigned from that position that he is rumored to be taking was also harassed and threatened. So maybe it might be a retaliation because maybe all people think that it came from his camp or something to that light. But I think he should be protected at all costs. He is a valuable Liberian, and his expertise will more likely come into play in the next couple of years because we have a lot of congestion. We may have another outbreak like Ebola, God forbid, but it's a possibility. So I think somebody like him should stay out of politics, be as neutral on the front as possible. When it's time for the election, vote your choice, but stay out of politics because you're too valuable to us for people to malign you simply because you have a different political view than them. That'll be my take on it.
Mr. Kamara.
Yeah.
We have Yimali from Foya.
Oh,
You were
God.
killing people. We saw all the folks, and he said, "I'm a militant. I'd kill people, and you know it. I can do it again." Here we are. We are only making references to what we have evidence in Mr. Kamara, who is shooting at this doctor.
It doesn't have anything to do with that. But anyway, let's say, one of the things in our society that really makes life difficult for me is the perception of everything. We don't have to understand anything, but we just have to perceive it because we're honest. Sometimes it can kill me sometimes, it makes me tired a little bit. Now, what some of the questions we should be asking ourselves, putting politics aside. If somebody shot in your yard and you found a bullet, what did the bullet hit? Can you show the hole where the bullet hit? Did the bullet hit the wall? Did the bullet hit the window? Or the person shot in your yard and the bullet just spin in the sky and landed on the ground in your yard? I mean, when you just say the police got work to do too. They gotta see something in something actually to waste their time there. That a juvenile doesn't have any shadow glasses, has no holes on the wall, no evidence of bullet hitting anything. I mean, so how did they shoot in your yard? Now, where the person was at that they shot in your yard? When the person was 4 or 5 miles away, was it a straight bullet? Or they stood in your yard and shot the gun and the gun fell on the ground. And then the bullet fell on the ground, you pick it up. Is it a Muppet show? Is it Family Guy or something? Yeah, so we need to sometimes we need to look at it from our own perspective too, not because of the headline or the sensation of A, or we can capitalize and say, "Oh, Unity Party trying to kill you." Okay, let's just assume with your kind of that human argument. No Unity Party person is at risk of losing job at the hand of Dr. Dubanya. It is your people. So why would Unity Party want to shoot him when they're not losing anything? In any case, if we should take your thing, your predisposition, I like to put it, and which is not even true, but let me just put it just hypothetically. If anybody in this case that will go after the Dubanya will be who? Unity Party? Anybody not losing anything? Who's losing? The CDC appointees.
Mr. Eastman. Oh, Mr. Eastman.
Yeah.
I mean, you're sleeping. Listen, Mr. Eastman, I have never seen any logic. This one in philosophy they call it non sequitur. That is, it has no logic.
It has no connection.
No connection at all. It's a distraction. This man is saying there has been no investigation to rule out or in whether they were shot. The man called the police to come and investigate to make the determination. The police refused. Then he blamed the man for where the bullet is, whether the bullet came in from this way. How do you know whether there were bullets from the left, from the right, from the sky when you, the police, refused to go to the site? Mr. Eastman, Kamara is on something. I don't know why everybody is strong. Go ahead.
Maybe he's taking smarting.
That's what you read in
everybody know when you want the police to go anywhere in our country there, you got to pay their way. You got to provide the logistics. They will tell you, say, well, we got car, we got no gas. If they get car, they say no gas. So it is apparent that he did not want to furnish the logistics to the police, so that they refused to go. That's how it works in the country. Any kind of case, I don't care what it is, you have to provide the logistics for the police.
Yeah, but
because they don't have enough. The
Mr.
senators and
Mr. Eastman, let me interrupt you. You are the professional man that we're here talking about professional folks.
I'm trying to go work here more.
And Joseph, like I said, we are the professional. We are coming to change everything. Now you're telling me the same thing that happened JJ Rawatan is still happening now?
Yes, they haven't changed anything yet. And I do not see a possibility with other plan. I don't know how people go all plan. Mr. Kamara is insisting that they have a plan. Has he seen the plan? And he is right. He is right about one thing, that the execution is another problem. But first, at least, let's get a blueprint of how we'll proceed. Yeah, they're not going to change Liberia overnight. That thing is ingrained in the society. And everybody knows if you want the police to make a move, unless they are ordered from above. But if you want the police to go on your case, you have to provide the logistics for them. And so apparently he did not want to do that. So he's not serious. If he was serious, he would come and pay that way for them to go see the bullet.
Wow. Mr. Padmore, close on this so we can go to our last 1 minute here. Mr. Eastman said, no matter what, let's put our hands up. Whatever these guys said they were coming to change, it's never going to happen. It's in our system.
That's what he said?
He said it's ingrained. It's in our system.
So that means he said they're never going to change it?
He said it will not be changed overnight. Go ahead, Mr. Padmore, closer on this so we can go to the next one.
All right, so I was just reviewing the front page Africa news story, which said that the doctor had expressed concern for his and his family's life, right? After a bullet struck his home following a shooting incident in his neighborhood. Very simple. He said they were coming to kill him. He said they were attacking him. He said there was a shooting incident in my neighborhood. A bullet struck my home. I'm concerned for me and my family left. Then Mr. Kamara said the police were not going there because the man get proof.
It was not about him.
Where the bullet coming from? That's not his job. If you are right now, the plan said not end. If the bullet hits my home, I will call the police. The police will come. They will inspect if there was indeed a bullet that hit my home. If indeed it was, they will canvass the neighborhood. They will try to figure out what's going on. And in the end, they will make a report. They will make a decision whether to follow it up, whether to drop it, or even they can even charge me with what? If they believe that somehow maybe it was some political nature or something, they can charge me with filing a false report. But you don't go. You can't just not go to the place. You can't just not say, I'm not going there. Let them do anything. So suppose something happens to me tomorrow. What do you say then? They may already not tell you.
Can I clarify this thing?
No. Mr. Eastman, let's go.
I need to clarify.
No, we're running out of time. Mr.
Oh, but you can go to Mr. Eastman, but you can't get a minute.
Yeah, Mr. Eastman.
Next topic.
Mr. Padmore,
we're running.
Honorable Eastman.
Yeah.
Our last point here, very important, the obscene disparity of legislative compensation.
Thank you.
Between the Liberian people and the leaders. And what are Liberians doing? You saw the list. I think Mr. Padmore got some of the lists here. We can put it up. The disparity is unbelievable, not even close to what happens in the United States.
It is unbelievable. And you know what? The Liberian people, we need to let them wake up. How can these people, most of the budget going in their pocket of the whole country, how can you pay people $200,000, $100,000, and then the doctor, and then they don't even hardly getting $1,000?
No, Mr. Eastman, Joseph Barker said he made $345,000 in 1 year when you were vice president. Not even now, but when you were in vice president.
And they're holding the country hostage. They are the new oppressors. Because they know very well that salary is not justified. Oh, they say, well, they have this expense, they have that. You have this expense, they have. But what about the country that doesn't have drainage? What about the schools, the children in the schools that they don't have chairs to sit down? What about the hospitals and the patients who don't have medicine? And you want to tell me your expenses are more important than them? These people are oppressors. All of them are oppressors, and they are holding the Liberia's future hostage. And if we do not change this, Liberia will never go anywhere, because the things they're supposed to be doing, they are not going to do it. They are more interested in their bellies. It's apparent by how they compensate themselves. Nothing is going to change. You cannot fill a bucket if it has a big hole in it. I'm always preaching. There are certain things that have to be fixed. And one of the things is you have to have commensurate salary dispensation. Are they doing that the country has to suffer because they have to ride big cars? We give them cars, then we buy them gas every $45,000 car every 3 or more years. Then we put, on top of it, we buy them. Well, I was listening to a program. Do you know how much money in gas slips those guys get? Thousands of dollars. How can this be justified? And then we're paying them more than anybody else. We pay them way 4, 5, 10 times more than a doctor making money. Then we will buy them, then we will get an allowance to go back to visit their constituents. Then we will get them money to carry out projects. What projects? Approved projects? If they put our money in the pocket, who is it accounted for? We are in a state, a highway robber. We are being consumed by selfish vultures. And if we don't call them to book, we just might as well forget about development. This is the only way we get development. When we telling these leaders that you cannot do what you want to do to us, or you will have better consequences. But as long as we're going to sit down and allow this to happen, we're not going to see development.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, you got a number on the screen, 772-940-2871, and the code is 791-403-. And you can call, and we'll take your call, and you can express your opinion. Mr. Kamara,
yes,
I know you don't like me to come to you because this is very hard. On a George, we have 80% of the total budget going to self-expense and all of that, and we cried, and then Joseph Waka came in and improved it by going to 93%. Now we have no money to do anything.
Yeah.
What can we do, Mr. Kamara? Can you tell Joseph Waka we need to cut salaries? What can we do to save our people?
By the way, it's 791-403 pound, not 403 dash.
Go. Pound. Go ahead.
The pound is there. What are you talking about, Mr. Kamara? The pound there, not dash.
No, I misspoke, he said. Go ahead, Mr. Kamara.
Yes. Okay,
so looking at the screen, and the one on the screen is correct.
Go ahead, Mr. Kamara. Don't waste our time by laughing. Go ahead, straight to the point.
No, I'm not wasting your time. You just try to find a way to throw me off. Okay? Now, listen, I will clarify this thing before I actually make my point. All right?
Okay, I'll come back to you.
You made it seem like somebody shot at Dr. Dewanya. I'm trying to tell you, the police got work to do. They know that it was not about him. They already knew that. All right? So they were not going to leave their serious issues and go to a man who only found a bullet in a yard. Because they knew where the bullet came from. It didn't come from him. It didn't come from a yard. Okay, so to this question, to this thing you're talking here, my brother, I don't know how long the 31. To tell you the truth, the thing is in the Liberian people court. They're in their hand. If they sit down, they're not hungry enough. But to see somebody taking $10,000 a year just to go visit you, even though the purpose of paying him an extra $8,000 in net pay is for him to work for you. but then they give him $8,000 net. But for him to work for you again, they got to also compensate him to work for you with another $10,000 per year. For him to work for you again, they got to give him several $1,000 in gas slip. For him to work for you, they give him $150,000. He can manage it. He can design development in your area, even though you got development superintendent. You got superintendent, you got mayor, you got all of that. But the man sitting in Capitol Hill will determine what happened to you in Banga. And you sit down, just sit down. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Morris, my own CDC man, Jay Fonati Kofa budget is like $1.23 million. My Bassa girl, Nyobli Kangas, the protein offer, I think she got close to almost $2 million when you add perch and everything else. And yet and still they're saying we cut our pay. That's what she said. Joseph Wagner, I have reduced their salary. I have reduced their pay. Can you imagine somebody making almost $2 million in the Republic of Liberia and a regular person making $45, $75, $75, $100 a month? What can we do as Liberians? What can the Liberians do?
Mr. Gamer, I can imagine it. And it's our current reality in our country. Why can I imagine it? Ignorance and non-exposure is bliss. If you go to my village in Nigeria, the people that have been living there have been living pretty much the same way for centuries. They don't know that they're even in poverty. They don't know they're living in abject poverty. They don't know any better. So for those of us who are in this country and seeing a better life, we can sit on this platform and tell these people that what's happening to them is broad day robbery. That's why, like I said before, I respect the progressives. I respect the likes of Mr. J. Victor Namwe, Deacon Kala, even Dr. Dubayan. People of this ilk who now we try to, criticize and ostracize them for the downfall of our country. But these people have the galls. They have the testicular fortitude to go out there and put their lives on the line. What they were learning from LU, they governize themselves, they mobilize themselves to the interior part of our country to tell these people the conditions the conditions you're living in is not conducive for your well-being. And as such, you need to put people there. You need to put people who will serve your interests. These people were doing that. The so-called military, the soup on LU right now, what are they doing? Sitting there going to stop, elected officials from coming on the campus? Are they sensitizing the people to let them know that they're living in abject poverty? And these are these groups of people who are living on the hog and eating off their backs? They're not doing it. So just like Mr. Kamara said, it's in your hands. I said it before, people got a little upset. Some of us who got lucky and came to the country, we're okay. We can eat every day, we can rock out, we can put gas in. We're not living the millionaire lifestyle, but we're fine. What about you? Who you think gonna change your life for you? You're expecting us to come back to Liberia to change it? You're there. You're the one living in the misery every day. You have to stand up. And for those people who don't even know they're living in misery, those who are educated have to go and tell them this condition that you're in is abysmal, is abhorrent, and as such, you have to protest for your rights. You have to protest for better. The vast majority of people don't live in Monrovia. They live in the interior. Most of them are uneducated. If they went to school, they stop the third grade or sixth grade and drop out. So they're not educated on the civic issues to understand that they're being mistreated. So what are we doing on this platform? We're just talking to these people who are only going to hear it, but the people who are really, really suffering from the mismanagement are never going to hear it or even have a cognitive understanding of what's really going on with them and how their life is being destroyed right before their eyes. They may live up to 40 years, never see the city of Monrovia, never see light, never see toilet, and they will die in that poverty. And the children will go through the same thing and they will die in that same poverty. And nobody is there to fight for them. So what are we going to do? This is our current country, and these guys are taking advantage of the people's ignorance. And that's where we are right now. I'll leave it there for now. It's frustrating, really.
Mr. Padmore, here we are. We have the public awareness going. Even Alio Kamara is upset, or at least he pretends to be upset here. He's not saying anything on the ground. But here we are. What we, as people who are enlightened, like Mr. Elvis Morris said, we are blessed to be here. We have everything. What is it that we can do, and we should begin, not just in the future, but what can we do to spearhead the change that we want in Liberia?
So here's the thing here. And people might think this is political, but it's actually the process. We have a Senate pro temp that is known as Rescue Mother. In recent days, it has been revealed that she has even more access to Joseph Boyka than Jeremiah Kum. Okay? Yeah, this is somebody who basically helps to put forth a budget. This is somebody, if Yomli Kanga Lawrence wanted to decrease the legislative incentives tomorrow, she could do it. Because she will have the backing of the Liberian people. She could put it on the floor Tuesday and say, look, we are going to slash our budget. And we are going to move that money directly into the flood issues. And she will be one of the most popular people. But will she do it? No. You think that money that coming as small money? You haven't seen money now before? Pro-tem money, they're not small money. And there is no accountability. No accountability. There will be no audit. There's no accountability. So then what is our next step? Our next step is our leader, Joseph Iman Boyka. When the people send spending bill to you like that, they say, oh, yeah, the bill here. Then they say, I'm not signing it. Before this go into law, I got to sign it. Then they say, I'm not signing it. Send it back to them and say, the Liberian people are suffering. I will not sit here and let you spend that kind of money on yourselves. I will not sit there and let you buy $45,000 car each. Why people in Rawaji, children sitting on the floor to land? I will not do so. I will not sign the budget. Get on the airwaves. Speak to Liberian people. Tell them why you refuse to sign the budget. See whether the Liberian people will not back you, Joseph Boyka. See whether the Liberian people will not bring that pressure. Because all march to Capitol Hill and demand it and say, teach that thing. But Yombli won't do it. No. Joe Boyka won't do it. We just stuck in poverty. We just stuck in poverty. And what will happen? 2 weeks from now, they will raise something else. And then everybody will forget about this. And then they will go and buy their cars. Trust me, 2 weeks from now, I guarantee we'll be talking about July 26th. We'll be talking about celebration. The guys will be buying their cars. And I will remind everybody here, you see, we're finna forgetting about the car business. We're finna forgetting about the 45,000. 103 lawmakers, 45,000 each. You do the math. You know how many people you can bring out of poverty in Liberia on that money? But here we are. That's where we are, sadly.
Dr. Booty, we've been talking. What are we doing collectively as a diaspora? Are we about to get on the ground, get our feet wet, sponsor a referendum? I know the Constitution says once we have X amount of numbers, we can force it on into the electoral process. Are we willing to go on the ground and say, you know what, we are going to gather signatures? If it's 1 million, we will defy 1 million by 15 counties. We will get a signature and we're going to force a referendum. Are we ready to do this? Can we do it? Or are we just blowing screen?
Well, I think. Thank you very much. I think there are a lot of things that complicate what is going on. I think Mr. Kamara mentioned, and I can't believe I'm about to agree with something Mr. Kamara said. But Mr. Kamara mentioned earlier that most of our students across our universities these days cannot defend big marks that they get, right? These guys are not enlightened. They're not capable of discerning the magnitude of the issues that are going on in Liberia. The other problem we have is for us in the diaspora, whether we want to admit it or not, we can shout as much as we want to shout. When I don't know what is it, the rubber hit the road, they say, okay, all of you, I call all of you now, say, let's go like bro, we're in protest tomorrow to the Capitol building. How many of all will actually leave the comfort that we have here want to go there and protest on behalf of our countrymen, right? Because we know what we could potentially lose, right? We have comforts here, we have privileges here. We're like, can't leave my family here. I can't go like brother go protest. Yeah, baby, let them put through for themselves. And like Mr. Morris touched on so brilliantly, and I was agreeing again with Mr. Kamara about the English the men use that thing. I said,
Yeah, the crap
you know, I know, and basically there are people in the country, like Mr. Morris said, and it really touched me, and I'm glad that he put it the way he did, who will never see Monrovia. Zwedru, some people in Grange that will never see Zwedru. Certain people in Los Angeles County will never see Greenville before you even talk about Monrovia, right? Those people we need to reach. And I think I take what Mr. Morris said as a call to action for us here on Point and Liberians in the diaspora in general. To say, look, we're shouting all the time. We're on all the talk shows then. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're talking. What can we do collectively? What can we put together as a think tank that can have the opportunity to go to Liberia and sensitize the people? We don't have to go and tell them you're right. Just tell them, look, do you think it's fair for your senator to be making this much money and you got Cairo coming to your home? Do you think it's fair for your representative to be making this much money? That all we need to do for them is give them the information. They then can decide what to do with that information. If they look at it and say, yeah, I'm happy for my representative to make that money, but they're paying it. We only have to give them the information. And we need to really sit down and reflect on how we can get the information to our people. The last point I want to make is we have all of these civil society groups in Liberia, like Centel and all of them. And I was reflecting as Mr. Morris was speaking, I'm like, but the same Western governments, and I know Mr. Tower would definitely touch on this when he talk about the systems in Liberia, the same Western governments that we are looking to call out our representatives and senators are the same people that are you hoping that those same representatives and senators will put the bills that will come through for the concession companies from their countries to come and exploit our land. How will they then go and tell the people start stealing money when they're depending on them to rubber stamp these things so that the American companies can go and grab, so that the Chinese company can go and grab, so that the British company can go and grab? How? So that's why, like Mr. Morris said, we need to think about what we can do by getting the information to our people so that they can then step up. Let them be the progressives of their time if we are not going to go and fight for them.
Great. Mr. Tower, what's wrong with our people in the United States? I know they have certain television station, radio, podcasts that are strictly government owned, like the Spoons of the World and everything else. Why they come up, people like you and I cannot go on the ground and say, listen, folks, we need, according to the Constitution, we need 10,000 signature to put an item on the ballot. We need 100,000 signature. Can we go from county to county to get this? I know, like Mr. Dr. Booty said, once you talk to the folks and tell them, like Kamara said, once you educate the folks and put a ball in their court and say, all you got to do is sign this referendum, sign this petition. I think we can get something done, but from just talking, I don't think it's possible.
Okay, so in the first place, guys, I mentioned I don't think we are not mature enough to have this conversation, or we are not willing to really touch the things for which we find ourselves in. I don't think we are prepared. And this is why we come here every day. We talk about this, but we don't want to talk about the root of this stuff. We have a system. I'm 50 years old. I have spent about over 30 years of my life, even though I come from a science background, but I've done many studies. I've some stuff from declassified CIA documents at Congress to just about everywhere. They're available. You can do that. I look at everything that I can look at, and I'm still looking. The system that they give you is inherently corrupt. It was never meant to work. You have to go back and look at how they put these places together and what they give you. Because we want to be here and blame the people in Liberia. Nobody in Zwedru need to come to Monrovia. That is not their problem. Nobody in Zwedru need to come to or or two zones need to come to Zwedru. That is not their problem. You could the people that are in America, which is the Liberian or the so-called educated groups, connive with people that come in and set up a system. You're saying that the people don't understand. Yes, they don't understand because the system is corrupt. It cannot be understood. You have a system where people set their own salary. People that are supposed to work for you decide what they're going to pay themselves. You have a government structure like that. And you're saying that the people are responsible. How? What are they supposed to do? What? Go, you're saying that you don't want force, but they should speak. They have been speaking. I've asked Levi Monroe for a whole year. They talk, but it's not going to do anything. May his soul rest in peace. One of my uncle in 2010-11, he made a statement. He said, you see the crooks that are ending up after this war in that Congress, the Prince Johnson, the Edwin Snow, he was naming him the Ellis Tyler. He said that you will need force to remove them. And from what I'm looking at now, he was right. But whatever means necessary, I know somebody mentioned on the show that cool, whatever it is, but it's force. It is not no, you go collect petition and you bring it. You're saying, oh, the president is limited. That president, the president, whether or black or whatever, they're limited because of how the stuff is set up. If you don't scratch their back, they don't scratch your back. If you bring something, they kill it in the house. This is the kind of structure that they have. But then, to my point here, we are here championing our international partner. I've been saying, you don't have no freaking partners. These guys are predators. What is the Chinese? What is the American?
You're playing music in the background.
They want to make sure they keep that kind of corruption. If you have a government that is broke, that don't have anything, that you have few people sucking up everything, and the country cannot function, why are you subsidizing the budget if you feel that your actual interest is to help this country? What solve that problem quickly? Stop subsidizing the budget. Let the thing collapse. Let the people rise up. Once they can see that it's collapsing and they're going to be in danger, guess what? They're going to make some hard decisions.
But you're saying the system in a different way. So what do you disagree with?
Thank you.
Huh?
You don't disagree with anything here because what you are saying is we're saying that the people should rise up. You're just using a different formula to get the people to rise up. Your formula.
He's calling for force, which is violent, which I don't think we should condone.
They don't want force. So how
your formula is the one that will make the people to suffer. And when people suffer to a certain degree, they get to the point where they're totally disoriented. They're in their mindset, and their action can be dangerous. What I'm saying to you is they constant blame. They constant blame on others. The West, the system the West brought. This is a laziness. This is a style of laziness.
It's an insult to our people. You're saying we're too stupid to understand the system.
When you say that people don't understand the system, I mean, I'm not talking about. Let's forget academia. Let's just have common sense. If your pa making 150, he works 7 days a week, and one man work 2 days in a whole month. 2 days in a whole month makes 240,000 a year. Your pa 150, you put it all together, and I read $2,000 a year. Somebody got to tell you, say you need to go to special school to know that somebody cheating you. This is common sense.
Come on. The point that you're making still doesn't. You're still in the same lane point. The point here is you want to blame the people in Liberia.
No. We want to incite the people in Liberia to stand up.
It's the people. Power is inherent within the people. They have the power. They have to exercise that power.
We all can talk at the same time. Now. So let's give Mr. Tower a chance.
Mr. Tower, please land.
Yeah, y'all say the boy is in that court. How is the boy in that court? What are they really supposed to do? They're supposed to rise up and go against people with guns. They're supposed to rise up and go against.
Yeah, you're a lazy man. You just get a muscle for nothing. You're a very lazy man.
Okay.
But Mr. Tao, I think Mr. Booty said it that we need to conscientize the people. I think Morris as well. He said we need to go in the team where they went in the interior and they say, look, those people in Monrovia cheating you. They call people so. And how they need to go now? Say the legislature,
Okay.
that kangaroo.
So guess what?
legislature.
I agree with that, right? But after you say it, what will be the action? Whatever you say, however way you handle it, this is the point I'm coming to. From what is going on with the entrenched criminals that are in the government and they're doing all this stuff, at the end of the day, it will come to like the 1980 or the 1990 or 1989. Because the guys are going to be unwilling to change and foes. That is what I'm so when we mention it, and then we say, oh, but we don't want for it to be violent. Yet nobody wants it to be that. But once you conscientize the people, however way you want to put it, what solve that problem, those guys will have to be, the system have to be changed by force. It's not going to be willing.
No, because right now there's no resistance. All we need is a little resistance to change behavior.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. We have exhausted this. I want to tell you this.
And the U.S. should start funding or subsidizing that budget. Let them pull their money. The money is not needed. Let Liberia function on its own. And if it can't work, let the people be held responsible. Pull their money.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was a kid, 1977, there were men, young men, going from village to village, sensitizing us and telling us that the system has to be changed. And at the time, 1977, a 16-year-old vibrant at the Boston High School, we decided, listen, I am going to take part of this. Guess who was my recruiter? His name was Deacon Collar. The guy who made me to believe in Bacchus Mafia and say, you go out there and make sure that change comes. It is still possible that the Michael Patmos of the world, the Jimmy Eastmans of the world, the Eric Morrisons of the world, the Dr. Booties of the world, the Towers of the world, we can go back to these people and say, what is happening here? You thought 1978, 1979 were bad. Look at the comparison. We need change. And we, like Dr. Malcolm X and everybody else, Dr. Martin Luther King said, we are going to challenge the process. We are going to, like my people say, let's try the system. The laws are on the books. We need multi-democracy, and that's what the Constitution says, and we're going to hold them to it. He didn't tell us when they came to recruit us that you take gun and go kill people. He didn't do that. He said, let's try the process through the papers. And that's what got people excited. We can go now and do the same thing and show this. It doesn't matter where in Liberia you go. If you show the $2 million that the pro-tem is making, and you show why his mother or father is making that $45 in Liberia, in Monrovia, Buchanan somewhere, as a janitor, and you say, if you think this is a disparity, if you think this is unfair, sign here. Let us put this on a referendum. People will do it in draw. We don't have to fight. We don't have to kill anybody. Use the system. Mr. Michael Palmer, we got out of time. Take us out closing 2 minutes and let's go.
Okay, who do you want to? You want me to close first?
Oh no! I forgot you left. Let me start with the man from across the ocean. I know he's in Nigeria. Is later. Dr. Fidel Booty, tell us. Close in your closing. What can we do? Because we are not going to leave this topic. We're not. Michael Palmer agreed at some point we're going to drop it. We have made a commitment on here that we are not going to drop it. Every Sunday, we will end with this topic. No matter how many other issues we got to discuss, we are going to discuss it until something happens. Dr. Booty, your closing.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think tonight we've been very good. I think Mr. Kamara has been more restrained tonight and not interrupting everyone, which is also a good thing. Unfortunately, as soon as I give my closing, I'll come off because we've gone over time. But look, taking Mr. Partner's point, right, and Mr. Morris's point as well, what we need to do, and I like the fact that Mr. Partner has the Kenyan flag. It's not gone unnoticed on his profile. We've seen what happened in Kenya recently, right? We've seen the people stand up and say, no, you cannot put more taxes on us, right, and burden us, right? We don't agree with this. And they went out there, they got their voices heard. Unfortunately, when these things happen, there are some unscrupulous individuals who, well, shake a little trees from time to time. And I know you guys live in America. I think there's something that talks about, the tree of the patriot blood will flow, what kind of thing your guy can say there, But basically it means when you won't shake the tree, some people will fall down. Not everybody will stand up, right? One or two people, they will beat in their head with head. Some of them will go to hospital, whatever. We need to stop just talking on here like Mr. Morris said. We need to sensitize our people. My people, y'all look at it in here. How much the people making? How much you making? What do you think about it? And then leave it to them. If they need advice from, oh, how can we do this? Oh, y'all go sit down in front of the Capitol building. All of your follow the play. You just sit down there. Say you can't come to well until you change it here. Right? You gotta go be nobody. You gotta burn somebody's house down. You gotta take on. You can sit in and sit. If 100,000, 200,000 Liberians from across the country came in to Monrovia and said, look, we will sit in at the Capitol building until these people can slash all these nonsensical incentives that they're giving themselves. Mr. Morris, I threw my own P word in there too. You know, it will help. Just there are ways we can do this without violence. And I think we need to, like Mr. Patmo said, and I hope he does, we need to hold ourselves accountable. That we don't just talk about it and let it go. We have to come back to it because that is our country. We all, everyone in here, love this country. All of us. That's why we give up our time every Sunday, and some of you during the week as well. So I beg you, my people, thank you very much for the show, and hopefully by the grace of God, we'll see you next Sunday, and you'll have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Mr. Tao.
Yeah, you know, it's really strange that everybody thinks that you can just go ahead and sensitize people, and then they will just sit. And Dr. Booty say that he agreed with these people. Why everybody's playing around that they either missing or they don't want to really mention is that it's only false. If you want to mention Kenya, I have friends in Kenya that I went to school with, and I followed this stuff. It was not just them coming there and sitting down. They sat there all this time. Nothing happened. It was when they started taking action. It was when they started taking action, even at that. Nothing happened until they started taking over the parliament building. And they started pretty much grabbing representatives and senators. That is when they started screaming and calling the president. That is when Roto now, who went defiant, had to come now and start to retract stuff. So whether they go and sit and they make some announcement and they work, fine. But when you see people that are that entrenched in Liberia as it is, that for almost 2 decades, this discussion being held, it's not that the people don't know. The people have been complaining. I was in Liberia for a whole year. They are not going to do anything. They're not going to move. They're going to ignore you. They're going to say, Liberian people talk, tomorrow they will forget about it. Some kind of force. I'm not saying that they should go and start burning places, but they have to be forceful. Whatever way it is, pressure to where action actually have to start being taken. That is the only thing. None of those guys will back down. And I'm going to say this again before I close. I call on the so-called international community. I call on the China Union, whatever. Stop subsidizing the budget of these criminals. Because the money that's supposed to go to the country, it is what they're paying themselves. And then what's supposed to be used for development, you are giving it. And then in the end, you get Wologisi Mountain, you get Putu Mountain, you get all of these places. This is our problem. It is not that they don't know. Why would US and USAID be sponsoring guys that are making more money than their senators and their representatives? Is it that because they care about Liberia so much? There are millions of people that are homeless here. Let them bring the money and use it. Let Liberia deal with own problem. We don't need that money. They're going to corrupt the system.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kamara, we got 2 major issues, 2 major instruments to our disposal that we need to educate our folks on. If we can't do it nationally, our constitution calls for recall. If my representative in Grand Bassa County District 1 is not doing what I want him to do, all it takes, according to our constitution, is 10,000 signatures to have him recall. We have never tried that. Can that be one of the instruments that this particular platform on here, we on here, begin to try and test the system? And your closing.
It's always good to try the system, Mr. Gimmon. It's not going to work. What Liberia need is the Sudan scenario. What Liberia need is the Kenya scenario. Let me tell you, if Liberians are always afraid to die, then they should be willing to stay poor forever. There's no revolution without bloodshed. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not calling for bloodshed. That's not what I'm saying. All that
don't be scared. Don't be scared.
other thing you're talking, the senators, the representatives are the same people who have the power to take a petition to the floor. You can go around and get 300 signatures. They not allow you in the building. You're just wasting your time. Those people have significant power. And people overlook it and they enjoy it. They use it to their advantage because a lot of people look at the president straight. Only the president. And when a president starts a government, especially at its embryonic, like it is, you want to be careful with the legislature. They will strangle all of your projects, all of your vision, all of your agenda. Sometimes you have no choice than play in their hand. The president that I know will be on your side. He's not going to make a comment, but he's not going to go against you. I challenge anybody. If the people rise against the House of Legislature, you will never see AFL there. I bet anyone. And the only person can order the AFL will be the president. So look, listen, the whole argument all the time that my brother make the West, the West, the West, the West. I think this is just laziness to the core. Other countries were colonized, even the particular America that we're dealing with today, were colonized, they were brutalized, they were murdered by the British. They came and turned everything around, became more powerful than the British. South Africa was colonized by apartheid. They have the second largest economy in the world, I mean, in Africa, and the most structured government in Africa, despite all of the crime rate.
That is not true. That is not true.
Morocco.
Listen, guys, we're running out
Yeah,
of
we
time.
gotta close.
Let's close it. Yes.
Morocco was subdued by even the America itself. Today, Morocco to black people is like Europe. We can do this. We have brains. We go to the same schools they go to. If we spend our time blaming other people every day, but we live our life corrupting, stealing our own from our own people, killing our own people using magical poisons, doing all kinds of stuff to ourselves, and enslaving our relative children that live with us in urban centers, and we still blaming the white people. This is nonsense. This is shared nonsense. Let's leave it alone. Let us pick up our own law. Take your own law and carry it. By this time, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Eastman, I want to
Yes.
disagree with Mr. Kamara here when he said only the president can have the AFL. The people rose up against B. Martin in Cape Mount, and the police and the military went there and killed people. Was it Joseph
Only the president can order the military.
Was it the military? Was it Joseph Walker that ordered the military to go over the booth?
The military went there and killed the people.
Yes,
All
the military went there. Mr. Eastman, you're closing because what he's talking here doesn't add up.
Right,
this is what we talk about rhetoric. We saw the army were out there backing up the police. It wasn't the president that called the army to kill people. In fact, there's a newspaper article.
The army was already assigned there by John Weir. They were already there.
There you go. The army killed somebody on your administration, and you say, Joe, we are saying
but I said they were already assigned there.
Mr. Eastman, go ahead. The government should have taken them out of there if that was true. Go ahead, Mr. Eastman.
You know, when you're really ready to change people or person, you have to go to the core of that person, the person's beliefs, what the person espouses as his faith, and all of that. You can't just superficially change him, and it would be. If we even remove those people who are right now in the legislature without teaching to be against greed, without teaching that corruption and bribery, it will hold us down, we will have the same thing. We have to also, with all these changes we're trying to bring about, we have to change the mind of our people. I don't see nobody talking to the little children. Do you know little children want to aspire to be senators? And he said, why? So I can get money. That's how they view it. We have to teach that these things are wrong. We have to teach that bribing and taking accepting will keep the country down. We have to focus on the youth. We're not doing that. And I agree that there's some actions that we can take to try to get these guys to come to reason. but are we working on our youth for the generations to come? Because they are going to imitate what they see. That's how it always happens. So you have to teach them that these things you are seeing are ills in society, and you should not practice it. I think one of the greatest dangers we have is the lack of education our children are receiving, and the type of education they're receiving, if they receive any. We have to teach virtue. We have to teach morals. We have to get them to understand that we can do better. This is not the way of life. And then we can still go behind those guys and get them to come to book that they should not exploit us the way they are exploiting us.
Man, speaking of people today.
Mr. Padmo, check us out.
But I get my closing, Mr. Agreement.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morris.
Let me go quick. Let us not forget, our revolution was incomplete. It was hijacked. We didn't have a full revolution in Liberia, conscientizing our people. Dole came in and seized that revolution and flipped it into something else that turned to a dictatorship. So most countries that went through revolution, like the Ghana and other countries that went through, social revolution, we didn't go through ours. We didn't go through it. So to this point in our history, we still haven't flipped and gained full democracy for the people, and thereby we're sitting here talking about how, we got to do things by force. We got to do things by violence. The reality is going to lead to another war. It's going to lead to another wave of killing. Violence, when you talk about revolution, violence is sometimes necessary, but you have to have an arrowhead. You have to have a direction where you're leading. It can't be a cut head chicken kind of revolution. Who are those that's raising that's leading us right now? Where's the Bacchus Matthews? Where are the Deacon College today? Some people are not natural leaders. Some of us, we get talk. But are we brave enough to put on the suit and go out there and put our lives on the line? Probably not. So some people need somebody they can follow. Some people need people who can galvanize them and inspire them. And right now we're lacking in that. So for Mr. Taiwo to say that we need to do things by force, sure, in certain aspects we need that force, but we need leaders who are going to lead us to the promise, quote unquote, the promised land of full democracy and our people having their full rights realized. If not, we're just going to sit on this platform and talk, and nothing is going to change. The people are going to remain ignorant, and their rights are going to be trampled upon, and their lives are going to be abysmal as it is now, and nothing is going to change for them. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Morris, you are the leader. You guys are the youth.
Mr. Padmo, close out.
So lead the way.
Oh, we'll follow you, Mr. Tawi. All the muscle will have me.
Mr. Padmo's turn. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Look, there's a couple of things here. I know people are talking about, the literacy of the T. Ebenezer Ward, has a quote. It says that the greatest danger to our Liberian democracy lies in the illiteracy of the Liberian youth. T. Ebenezer Ward died 1973. This is not something new that we're dealing with. For many years, we didn't know how much our senators and our representatives made. Every time we tried to challenge them, according to them, they couldn't tell us what their salaries were because they were afraid of armed robbers. When Senator Darius Dillon ran for the Senate the first time, he promised the Liberian people that once I get there, my first check, I will tell you how many people are paying us. That's how we know today how much senators are paid, or we have some sort of idea. Okay? We can challenge the system, and we can drive people to challenge the system. There are people out there who can do so. So it's not impossible. We just have to be intentional and have to be focused about it. Even people that are in the legislature today, we can use them to challenge the system. Like I said, we just have to be focused about it, and we have to be intentional. With that being said, we have to do that part. They're not going to do it for us. So we have to identify these people that can do that thing, and we have to place the burden and the pressure on them to get it done. We can recall legislators. There's a process to that. Not because you won, it means that you are seated in that position for 6 years or 9 years. You can be recalled by the people of Liberia. Let's start recalling 1 or 2 of these people, and let's see if everybody else don't start listening. They will listen. They will listen. It's there. So, I mean, we come on here, not because we want to show our face to Facebook, but we dearly care about our country, and we dearly care about changing our country for the better. And whatever that takes, we should be up to the challenge. And that's why I would like to encourage everybody today, all of our panelists, all of our people following us. Everybody is not going to be a militant. Everybody is not going to be a patriot. Everybody is not going to be a revolutionist. But wherever you find yourself, just do something. Do something. Don't just sit there. Do something. Thank you guys so much. Go ahead, Mr. Eastman.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Stay tuned. Mr. Dennis Giles, I will see you, has a great show coming up next. You don't want to miss it. Until next time, Sunday, it is 4 o'clock on the East Coast. And wherever you are, we say it's going to be on point. And we cannot disappoint you. This coming September will be our anniversary. We are going to have something great for you. We are working on some stuff. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as we all say, whether you support the president, whether you are in opposition, we are all Liberian. Mr. Padmo, could you please play our beautiful song? We are all Liberian.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.